So, can you believe that Gru, a supervillain with a minion army, a fancy lair, and a plan to steal the moon, somehow ends up being the most lovable guy in the entire movie? I mean, this guy's supposed to be the ultimate bad guy, but all he does is fail miserably at it. Seriously, how does this guy keep messing up everything, but somehow the world still loves him? Let's break it down. First of all, Gru, played by Steve Carell, is this super intense guy who's been plotting to pull off the biggest heist in history, stealing the moon. Yeah, you heard that right, the moon. Because why not aim for the stars, right? Literally. His plan involves building this ridiculously massive rocket and somehow using it to take the moon away from the Earth. And, okay, for a moment, we're thinking, wow, Gru's a genius. But then, oh boy, everything starts going downhill in the funniest ways possible. See, Gru's got a whole minion army, these little yellow creatures who are totally incompetent, yet oddly charming. These minions are supposed to help Gru with all his evil plans, but they can't do anything right. They are literally the worst assistants ever, but somehow, they still manage to keep Gru from totally losing it. The only thing they're good at is being adorably useless, and honestly, it's a huge part of the fun of the movie. They show up in the most ridiculous moments, like when they attempt to dress up like evil scientists and somehow still fail spectacularly. And yet, Gru treats them like they're the key to his success, which just makes everything even more hilarious. But here's the real kicker, while Gru is busy planning the moon robbery, something happens that throws him completely off course. He adopts 3 girls. Yeah, you heard that right, 3 little girls. And no, it's not some super evil scheme to raise them into little villainous masterminds. He actually adopts them because he needs to use them to get into the house of his rival, Vector. But as he starts spending time with them, he quickly realizes that he sucks at being a dad. I mean, this guy doesn't even know how to make breakfast for these kids. He tries to be all tough and evil, but then he ends up in these totally ridiculous situations, like when he tries to read them a bedtime story or teaches them how to ride a bike. None of it goes as planned, and you just can't help but laugh at how terrible Gru is at all of it. And here's where the magic of the movie really kicks in. Gru doesn't have to be perfect to be lovable. He's so awkward, so bad at being a parent, but you can't help but root for him because, deep down, he's trying. And that's what makes him such a great character. And don't even get me started on his rival, Vector. This guy is the complete opposite of Gru. He's got a ridiculous laser gun and wears a bright orange jumpsuit like he's a living traffic cone. He's always trying to one-up Gru, but honestly, he's just embarrassing and way too into himself. Gru may be a supervillain, but at least he's not that ridiculous. Now, let's talk about the plot twist. Gru actually decides to save the day in the end, but not by stealing the moon. Nope. He ends up giving up his evil ways and realizing that maybe being a dad is the real adventure. It's kind of heartwarming in an absolutely hilarious way, because Gru literally goes from evil genius to over-the-top father figure in a matter of minutes. The guy who couldn't even properly change a diaper ends up being the one to save the kids he initially adopted for a scheme. And the best part? His minions, who can't do anything, end up helping him out in the most ridiculous ways, making this one of the funniest and most wholesome movies of all time. But honestly, how does Gru even manage to hold it together? The guy is juggling villainy, fatherhood, and minions, and somehow, in the end, he's the hero. How does that even work? Maybe being a villain isn't about stealing moons or building rocket ships, but about having a good heart and caring for those who need it. Or, maybe it's just that Gru's so hilariously incompetent that he ends up accidentally doing the right thing. And let's not forget the future of the franchise. With all the despicable antics, the lovable minions, and Gru's unexpected parenting skills, how could anyone not wonder, what's next for Gru? Is he going to finally steal the moon, or has he officially retired from evil schemes to become a full-time dad? Either way, we're in for some seriously funny moments ahead. So, let me ask you, would you want to live in Gru's world? I mean, you've got minions doing all the work, kids who might be way smarter than you, and a guy who can't keep a plan straight but still somehow saves the day. Plus, there's the moon-stealing rocket, which, let's be real, has zero practical use but is totally awesome. But honestly, who wouldn't want to hang out with Gru and his minions? They may be terrible at everything, but they sure know how to make us laugh.